All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We're just a bunch of Kiss fans and we talk Kiss. So come along for the ride. You've got nothing to lose. All right, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. We're running light, a couple people today. Lonnie's doing Lonnie stuff called Life, and Mark's also doing Mark stuff called Life, but they'll be back before too long, no doubt. I want to thank people who are joining us live. Ronnie Parker, first in the comments, Ghost Musicians Union has fallen asleep, or will do by the time we're done talking. Kiss Vids, Scott LA Rock 73, G Chupko, and Keep It greasy. Thank you as always. So we're going to be talking about the 30th anniversary of You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best, the reunion era compilation that was put out in conjunction with the Alive Worldwide tour of 1996. It's going to be interesting to see, especially what people's comments are in the chat as we go along and where they kind of align with our views looking back at this 30 years. And it's been an interesting exercise. But before that, we got to get to some of the news and headlines from the week. And Gene and Paul were, of course, inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So obviously, like many fans, we offer them congratulations for the recognition that provides our band, our guys, our team, our tribe. Kennedy Center honors, for better or worse, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for better or worse. All of these accolades are finally coming, and at least these guys are still with us to receive those accolades, because for me there's nothing worse than people being honored posthumously. It's like, why, as Paul said on the CBS mornings, why didn't you tell it while I was alive? It's nice to get to hear it. So I do agree with Paul on that. And the Hall of Fame, that one, shines a spotlight on the accomplishment of songwriters who have provided us with the words and music that form the soundtrack of our lives. So I think Paul I looked at some Getty assets. I don't know if it was the full speech for Paul, and he only spoke for a minute, and it was very succinct, very brief, and it was only Paul, no Gene. Apparently there was some reason why he wasn't there. I know some people randomly posted that it was a family emergency. I don't know what it was, but they had both appeared on CBS mornings to talk about the history and the award, and whether that was pre-filmed previously and just aired in the morning, I don't know either. But Gene hosted a private event last night, a private celebration event Friday evening that was special invite only for the availability to attend, and photos of that are all over Facebook. So it looks pretty cool. Again, it may not be your cup of tea, which is perfectly fine, but for those people who went, I saw a lot of smiling faces and a happy crowd. So to each their own. Demon's gonna demon any opportunity. Yeah. So that's pretty much the news for the week. Mailroom. I got a couple of things in for the Magic book. I needed some more newspaper clippings. I'm not going to show them because they'll be in the book and everyone's actually seen them again, but I just wanted the real deal to go in. And also a Metal Edge magazine from 96. I'm actually having fun going back through the Metal Edge, and Jerry Miller, who was really such a staunch supporter of the group. And it's nice to go back to when rock magazines have a different vibe than they've become, for those modern magazines that we get to enjoy. Very different beasts, 30 later. Either of you guys bought anything this week or done anything Kiss related? There was more merch. I mean, Sweden didn't make it to the World Cup, did they?
Yes, we did.
Oh, you did? I can't remember.
We're gonna win it as well.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
They have Mexican, Canadian, and U.S. soccer jerseys up on Kiss Online now, hopping on that bandwagon, which, you know what? It may be right for you. They don't have a Scottish one or an English one, so ain't nothing for me to wear. So, Ken, did you manage to go a whole week without buying anything?
No. I got something for my granddaughter's birthday. One of those new shirts. It's more cartoonish, the one that says Alive 2 on it, I think. The one that has a little cartoonish kind of Kiss on it. So got a small version of that. So, it won't be shipped until another week or two. So yeah, that's what I got. It wasn't for me. Excuse me. It wasn't for me. It was for someone else.
Oh, very cool. And, buying for families, always fun. All right, let's, as Paul said in his speech, don't bore us, get to the chorus, the topic at hand, which is, of course, refocused at 30. You wanted the best, you got the best. Or did you? That's going to be the question. And if we knew, the first question has got to be, if we knew then how hard it was going to be for those vault doors to crack open. I mean, it basically took 30 years for meaningful. I know the box set came out in 2001, but for God's sakes, it really didn't have that much from the vault in it. Daniel, if you knew then what you knew now, would you have appreciated you wanted the best, you got the best more?
I think the idea was pretty cool, and initially, I know they had kind of a Marvel thing going on. You can still see it on CD, the original idea with them, as Marvel superheroes. I think they should have gone the full Monty with that instead of just this half-assed cover. Even though it's a pretty cool picture, but I feel like Gene and Ace looks great, while maybe Peter and Paul they look. There's a little less detail on them, and it doesn't. It feels very photoshopped. But it was a good idea. They didn't really manage to pull it off. Alive 1 was great, Alive 2 was great, but putting them together really didn't work for me. The biggest problem for me was I was waiting for the next studio album by this point in time with Bruce and Eric, and then I got this, and I wasn't really into it. So that was my main problem with this CD.
Ken, same question to you. If you knew then what you know now, and what was your response to receiving this album in 1996?
My response was, I was happy they were releasing something, but I was hoping for new material from the original lineup. I thought that would have been.
There's the interview with Jay Leno.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of new material, but something like new music, that they could have toured on, even, put a new song in the set list. It would have been, I don't know, that's what I would have liked, but it wasn't meant to be that way. But if I knew then what I know now, I knew something was wrong right away, and we'll get into that when I heard it and all that stuff. But anything Kiss at the time, because it was like, okay, the original band is back, the makeup is back, that was the excitement. So anything you can get your hands on, including this re-releases and other stuff that they started to release, it was just kind of crazy. There's a lot of excitement waiting to go see them and all that stuff. So it'll be 30 years this August that I saw them down in San Jose on the reunion tour. So yeah, it was exciting. I'll get into what I think of the packaging and all that stuff.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that very shortly. I mean, if I knew then what I thought, or what I think I know now, I probably would have appreciated this a lot more. But I've been reading some fan reviews from 1996 when it came out, and a lot of it revolves around the obvious, what was done to the vault tracks. And I always had a problem with the Jay Leno interview just being tacked on there. I always did the math, and it was 17 minutes of really, there wasn't a whole lot in there either. If it was some stunning interview with a lot of new information or even interesting stuff, it was just flaccid. It just didn't do anything for me, and I'm sure someone loves it somewhere and wishes it was longer. But there you go. So I probably would appreciate it if I knew I was going to wait 5 years for a box set to let me down further with not having as much archival stuff. I'd probably say, well, getting, what was it, 4 or 5 songs here was a pretty good start when all we'd had previously was the Deuce and Strutter demos, I believe, which came out on the Forever single in 1990. So again, it was rumored that it was going to be, 2 new studio tracks, and then Ace was saying how there was minimal overdubs and how he did a little bit of time in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was a weird thing. It was great going into Glasgow to pick up a new Kiss album. Don't get me wrong. That's
Yeah.
my massive takeaway from it. It was always exciting, and as Daniel rightfully said, Carnival of Souls was on the horizon, and this bumped Carnival of Souls, from the schedule. So it wasn't a fair trade. So we're gonna get into the Refocused. As always, we give things scores in order to align and organize and shape everything. So why don't we get into talking about the first part of this, which is the album's production, cohesiveness, how everything fits together, the packaging, the single selection, and overall taste. Daniel, why don't you get us going with the production and the cohesiveness and how you rank this album?
I think the production, well, it's Alive 1 and Alive 2. I mean, that's pretty awesome. The problem is, and it also hurts the cohesiveness, is the new vocals on some of the tracks. It's rumored that some of the instruments have been tempered with as well. I'm not too sure about that, but however, the vocals are pretty obvious and was right off the bat, especially on the Paul song. So I think that hurts the cohesiveness and the production somewhat. But I mean, Alive and Alive 2, some of the greatest sounding live performances by Kiss ever. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it didn't really work to put them all together like this and add a few songs with new vocals. So I only gave 3 for cohesiveness. I had to give 4 for production. Cover art, do you want that as well, or
no? We'll go to that after Ken's talked about the first 2. So, Ken, production and cohesiveness. How did you rank that?
Well, the production, I gave a 3 out of 5. I thought they didn't need to. I mean, I guess that's a production call, re-recording some or recording some new vocals over on top of older music from the 70s, which just didn't work. You can easily tell that that's not a original vocal from either Paul or Gene on a couple of songs, and it's just kind of like that stood out right away. I knew that right away. I'm like, something. I was like, what? This doesn't sound like Paul from the 70s. It's like, what's going on here? So that bothered me. That kind of, I guess, ruined it for me. I was hoping that it was just going to be, just stay, keep it to what it was, leave it, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a live show. It's going to be a little bit of drops maybe and this or that, but just let it go. So I don't know. And I didn't know the whole thing about it. I mean, there was, I guess, the rehearsal stuff. I guess Julian knows more about that than me, but as far as cohesiveness, that throws that off too. The new vocals or instruments that may be overdubbing on it, that screwed it up. Putting these 2 produced albums of Alive and Alive 2 together kind of it just doesn't sound right, because it is a different production, different sound between the 2, so it kind of doesn't really work that well. And then you got Take Me, that sort of thing too was on there. So yeah, it didn't flow, it didn't do anything. So the cohesiveness is just kind of a 1 for me. I didn't like that part of it. Yeah, while I like the having something new, I probably listened to this one a couple of times, really, back then, and then I put it aside. I'll go back to a live 2 or live rather than listening to this.
Yeah, I think one of the comments from our listeners today was, "I haven't listened to this in 30 years. I can't." That's Ghost Musician Union. Thank you. I barely listened to this thing over the years, other than to create AI stems out of some of the tracks and to compare the versions from Alive and Alive 2 with the remasters that came out, and that's it. Again, I listened to it. I put it away. I was so far into bootlegs at the time that there was much more exciting stuff that stayed in listening rotation at the time. And this one, the production is fine. I gave it 4 because Eddie Kramer, as a producer
Oh
of
yeah.
Alive and Alive 2 and the overall sonics of those new tracks, they're perfectly fine. So I'm not going to bag on any of that because I don't like other elements. Cohesiveness, I gave it 2. I didn't go as harsh as you did, Ken. But I don't think it makes any sense in terms of the cohesion to have stuff like Firehouse and Parasite representing Alive. I Still Your Love, that's a given. Calling Dr. Love, neither here nor there really in terms of what I personally think are the best of Alive and Alive 2. So it seemed a hodgepodge. It doesn't work well together. The sequencing is odd. And I went down and I bought the cassette, and having side A end with a Alive 2 song and side B start with an Alive 2 song is symmetrically awkward for me. It just doesn't feel. It's like that damn interview affects and infests every aspect of this. Think of the amount of vinyl that was wasted pressing that.
Exactly. And also the intro, the tacked on thing there at the beginning, you wanted the best, you got the best, totally tacked on to, is it room service or
something? Oh yeah, in front of, that's true too. Exactly.
That doesn't really work. So it starts,
good point.
Starts bad and it ends even worse, the album.
Yeah, so overall, very disappointing. The best thing I can say about it is the vinyl version and the Japanese version include New York Groove and Eric Carr, which again is a nice tribute. And of course, New York Groove being the only hit from the solo albums makes it righteous. All right, let's talk about the artwork. And I've been showing some of the pictures from it, Robert Conte's essay. But the packaging. Daniel, your thoughts on that, and how did you rank it, the cover art and packaging overall?
I gave it a 3. I think it's good enough. I don't care for the colors. It doesn't feel very Kiss. The purple background there I never liked, and I think the side of the CD was like yellow, and the glass was like, or the plastic was sort of orange or something. The colors were way off there, I think. The thing I liked the most was the actual CD, where you can see the original ideas that Robert Conte had for the album. He wanted to paint, the Marvel comic thing idea, wanted to use that as a template for the album. And I think that would have been really cool, that they would have recreated or reimagined some of the old Marvel thing that they pretty much did on Destroyer and Love Gun, and went back to that. I always thought they should have done that for Sonic Boom and Monster later on as well, but somehow Paul and Gene never wanted to do that, or at least Paul. So very unfortunate. So on the CD you can actually see a bit of Robert Conte's ideas. I know I heard an interview with him where he said the only thing that's left from the original idea is the actual CD, where you can see some Marvel comic things there, but other than that, they totally went in a different direction. I think it was a bad call, so I gave it a 3 out of 5. Still, the image on the front is pretty cool, but it felt kind of strange.
Ken, how about you? Cover art and packaging, how did you rank it?
I ranked it a 2.5.
Oh,
I gave it a half because, well, if you talk about the vinyl, you get, yes, I like the cover image was cool. I thought that was pretty neat. You know, that was a nice image, and the fire and all that kind of stuff. Back, okay, yeah, this is the vinyl. Yeah, inside there was supposed to be, according to this, new pictures too, right? Unreleased pictures. All you get is white sleeves and vinyl. So that was like, where's the pictures? I don't know. And then so on the booklet is, you got that, but what they're doing too on this is not much. I mean, it's just they're selling history book, of course. If this is a new picture, what the heck? What is this? What is that? Tell me what
Oh, that's the back of this one. Okay.
Yeah,
it's artistic, Ken. It's arty.
Looks like should be I don't know, whatever. So it's like a close up of Gene's wig or something. Hi. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, not much. Yeah. Oh, you get this little live, which you've seen a million times. So I don't get it. And they're advertising again with the other part too, the other little booklet, the little thing, selling, which that's fine, but I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. This is okay, except for it's such a light color on the CD, you can't really see the image. This is maybe like you said, the Marvel. It's the Marvel cartoon kind of picture, right? But it's easier. It's not so easy to see it with that color.
Mine's in yellow, I think, on my CD. Hold on.
Yours is more yellow. It's like an orange, light orange. And then you get now I like the case of the CD because that was something they were doing around the time. I think I had an Alice in Chains that had color too. But yeah, this is okay. That was just something new they were doing around the time with these cases. And then this picture here is like, it's like a blurry live picture. What the hell is that? It's kind of I just don't get that. Anyway, so at the time I thought, yeah, this is cool. It's all because it was all new and everything, but I didn't like the package. It could have been a lot better. The best thing about it is the cover. I'll just say that.
That cover art was a waste. That cover art, I think, deserves better album than what you wanted the best ended up being, because I think it's pretty good.
They used it on the T-shirts, and everything for the tour. So
yeah, it's much more worthy of something quality. But I always had a problem. I went into Glasgow, like I said, and I bought the cassette. And that freaking red cover was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, number one,
it's
red
like pink, right?
Does not work with that color palette. Red on top of purple, blue. No.
Yeah, it's kind of
Paul, you're an artist. You should know
pinkish.
That. And then that crap, just absolutely. I hated the packaging because of that. And
yeah,
again, the cover's great. Don't have a problem with that. Bob Conti's little essay doesn't really deliver the goods in terms of the contents, but that's not his fault, as we know from the 3 size interview that he gave.
Not his fault.
And the little pictures and the tray, it's all fine. But again, you can see them not wasting a lot of money. I don't want to call it a cash grab because I don't think it was. I think it was a celebration of Alive and Alive 2, starting to show some of the remasters that were being worked on at the time. And what was coming. And here was a release featuring the original lineup. And it's just too many things, I think, collide. I think corporate collides with creative here. And that's why you end up with a Jay Leno interview. Someone sat in a meeting and said, let's include a 17-minute Jay Leno interview with Kiss on this release. The fans are going to go nuts for that. Yeah, they went nuts for that, but not in the way you were hoping. So, all right. Singles. there were no singles issued for this. In July 1996, Shout It Out Loud aired on MTV, the video filmed at Tiger Stadium, and it was attached to You Wanted the Best as the album in its credits. But it, Shout It Out Loud is on here, but it's the Alive 2 version versus the Detroit version that was recorded for that. Also released around the time is a promotional CD single. It's the Blockbuster greeting CD. That was a point of sale bonus. I think it cost $5. If you put $5 down to pre-order the release, then they gave you this.
So sounds right. Okay. Hey, thanks for coming to Blockbuster to pick up our new album.
Now here's a live rare bonus track.
That's fine. Yeah, you want to do one?
I got one.
Here's a live rare bonus track.
Yeah.
Okay.
With a motion.
Ready?
Gene, you have the first one?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming into Blockbusters.
And here's a live rare bonus track.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming into Blockbusters to pick up our new album.
And a live rare bonus track.
Singular.
What are you doing with the hand with me?
I'm giving you the thing like when I stop, so that
you okay.
So there's no thank you.
Say something, and here's okay. And here's a live rare bonus
And
track.
here's a live rare bonus track.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to Blockbuster to pick up our new album.
And here's a live rare bonus track.
Knock it out.
Clearly their acting skills hadn't improved since Phantom, and Peter was ready to slap Gene already. What are you doing with the hand? I think that's very fun. But it did come with New York Groove, the bonus track that was included on vinyl and Japanese CD. It wasn't the first time. Well, on a record release, I guess, because Heaven's on Fire had been used live on the Tears Are Falling single back in the day. Last one is overall taste. Ken, what's your overall taste for You Wanted the Best?
Normally, all my taste for Kiss is going to be, normally 3. But I knocked it down to 2.5. Because, while it's Kiss and it's Kiss music, it's just, I don't want Kiss to do it this way. I don't want them to re-record over stuff and make it obvious. If you're gonna do it, you do it where I don't know that you're making changes. Fool me at least. So that's the only problem. Is it would have been a 3, but 2.5 because of the jumbling of the combining of Alive and Live 2 in a weird manner and all that stuff, and then just the re-records is the overdubs, I guess you call it, is the worst part of it for me. That knocks it
Daniel.
down.
I think I have the same problems like Ken said. I only gave it a 2 in taste. They had fooled me a few times before with their live albums, but this was so poorly done, so you couldn't even fool me, even though I wasn't that old. The dishonesty was too much for me. From that, you wanted the best, you got the best intro to Room Service. That starts the thing off, and that just, that kind of made me feel that this is really not honest. This is fake. And then you get the new Paul Stanley vocals. And after that, it was pretty much over for me. I did never like the record at all. It was too dishonest, too obvious.
Yeah, I think overall the Jay Leno thing just really bugs me no end, and I gave it just a 2. I'm meh. On the one hand, I understand, and I think I understand a little bit more after analyzing all the audio, why it exists and its purpose. And after Robert Conti explained what happened to it from conceptualization to realization, I'm not going to give it a 1 and say I hate it, because at the time, any new Kiss was good. We were wrapped up in the moment, waiting for albums and the excitement. So I think trying to say that these are vault recordings, but they clearly had re-recorded vocals or newly recorded vocals, as we'll talk about, was a completely different matter. So just look at these. Ken likes this the least. I'm next, and Daniel actually likes this section of the scores the most. And none of them are spectacular, but I don't think anyone would be surprised. We're not bashing this. I think we're being pretty objective. There's no hate because Carnival of Souls was delayed.
You know, they could have put songs instead of that Jay Leno thing in there. I 17 minutes of music would have been better than that interview. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, come on. If they had all those rehearsals, Strange Ways.
Yeah.
Just
imagine. Yeah. That would have been like, whoa,
Yeah.
But no.
Just imagine what it could be, but everything's easy in hindsight, and they were putting in a hell of a lot of work into getting ready for the reunion. There was an awful lot of work for all four of those guys to do in terms of health and training in order to get ready for what was going to be an arduous road. And again, the reality is such that I think it's pretty clear what happened. All right, and then we get into the songs. When we do live songs, we judge them by the live translation, the performance, and whether we liked it or not. So maximum score is going to be 30 for each song. But let's get into the rankings. We did not rank Kiss Tells All. I gave it 0 points because it's not a song, and it would probably end up at the bottom anyway. So there it is. So in 13th position, if I've done my numbering right, Two-Timer on 15 points. Ken, it hurts you when Gene is at the bottom of the barrel, doesn't it? So get us started with Two-Timer, one of the re-records.
Yeah. The live translation for that and the band performance, I gave it a 3 for both of those. Normally I would give it, if they didn't mess with it or anything, I would have given it a 5 on those. Because of re-recording, I ding them on that stuff. I just had to do it. It's not authentic. I guess that's the key word for this album. It's not authentic, and that kind of goes through a lot of especially with the re-records. That's the problem. If they would have had the original vocals just sitting there and all that kind of stuff and nothing else was touched, it would have been a lot higher score. It would have been, the 5, basically, the highest score I could give it. So live translation, band performance, 3 and 3. My taste, again, because of the, messing with the songs, 2.5. Otherwise, that's always going to be a 3 as far as my taste, because it's Kiss.
Daniel, how about you?
Well, I think the problem for me is there are a lot of great songs on Dress to Kill. I don't think Two-Timer is one of them. I think it's one of the weaker songs on the album. I don't really like. I think they extended the solo on the live thing here, and it didn't really work. And then, of course, the re-recorded voiceover from Gene doesn't help it either. So it didn't get a lot of points from me.
Yeah, no, it didn't get a lot of points from you. Okay, you liked it the least. I gave it 4 on the performance. And 4 on the live translation. I tried to put my mind back to how I encountered this back in 1996. Now, obviously, mixing vault stuff with modern vocals with the Alive and Alive 2 stands out like a sore thumb. And you got to be thinking, what were they thinking? Were they that outrageous that they said, no one's going to notice, or we don't care if they do? Because it's a giveaway to be mixing these vocals. But I thought Gene sounded fantastic. Modern Gene singing that song. I'd never heard Two-Timer live before.
He did a good job of it. Yeah.
So I just want to share some of the multimedia I prepared for the show today. I prepared way too much and we're not using it. So here is the isolation of Gene's vocal.
Sweet verses offer looks and foul. That's what I keep telling her. I tell her all the time. She tells me she likes fast cars. Says she likes my own best. Just because of that, baby, you think she'd forget the rest. No, no, no.
So just before I play the "You Wanted the Best" isolation, now we've got the box set and we can compare all this stuff finally to see what it sounded like and why they may have said, let's redo those vocals. And I've got a much longer 90-minute series coming on, digging into that in much more depth. But for today's show, just to illustrate these, he sounds great in 1975, but you can tell that one big difference, he's singing live. And now, let's go in the studio.
She thinks she's out fashion, thinks she looks fine. That's what I keep telling her. I tell her all the time. Oh, and she tells me she likes fast cars. Says she likes mine the best. Just because of that, baby, you think she'd forget the rest? No, no, no.
Let's hear some of Paul and Gene.
Just call me a 3-time loser. That's all I'll ever be. Cause my baby's such a two-timer. You know she's two-timer. She's a two-timer me. Just call me a 3-time loser. That's all I'll ever be. Oh, cause my baby's such a two-timer. You know she's two-timing. She's a two-timing me.
All right. Does that change either of your opinions on the vocals and whether they should have kept the originals, or you can understand why Gene maybe wanted to change those?
I think, of course, they should have kept the original version. It sounded great, and it sounded live, as you said. The other one is so obviously a studio recording; it doesn't fit the live sound.
Yeah, I highlighted and read the little ad libs that he's added in because he clearly had the lyrics in front of him. Ken, your thoughts on Uncle Gene?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good attempt by Gene to mimic his 70s voice. I mean, he almost nailed it. But still, you could still tell it's different. And who knows how many takes that took to even get that like it is. I agree that, the original vocals are probably worn, the original vocals you could tell are kind of strained, worn out. He's probably losing his voice from touring and all that stuff. Maybe had a cold, who knows? But because I know back then, Paul had a cold at one time on one of those albums that we got recently on live. You can tell.
Davenport,
but that's what makes it. But that's what I enjoyed it actually, because he adjusted his voice because of the cold that he had. He maybe changed the way he sang things a little bit, which I understood. And I enjoyed it. It's still good. So that's why they didn't need to re-record.
All right, cool. So I'm not going to bludgeon people with a shit ton of multimedia in this episode. If you want to be bludgeoned with multimedia and my analysis, tune into the 5-part series starting tomorrow. All right, let's move into 12 in 12th position. You guys are breaking my heart here. Let me know on 17 points. Daniel, let me know.
Once again, the problem with additional vocals being added. I think it's a pretty good song. Once again, not one of my favorite songs off of the early album, so that's why it didn't get a whole lot of points from me. But I do like the live translation they did here. To me, that sounds way better than the studio version, actually. So I didn't give it that low of a score. I gave it 16 points at least. Got pretty low score because I only gave it 2 in taste, and that brings down the score a bit. But a pretty cool live track. But there are better songs to come.
Yep. All right, Ken, you like this the least of us.
Well, all these ones that were touched, I basically rated them the same. So that's why they get low score. Even though out of them, I would probably say "Let Me Know" is my favorite of them, especially when they released it recently last year. That was just awesome to get it that way without any touches on that. Or newer touches, I guess. So yeah, it's just a live transition 3 out of 5, band performance 3 out of 5, taste 2.5 again. Though what works better is when Gene and Paul are singing together. It's harder to tell that it's been messed with because they're kind of blending their voices and stuff. So you can't kind of focus in too much on it being an updated vocal or anything like that. So, and the "Let Me Know" part that makes it better is, of course, the extended version of "Let Me Know," which is, I was very excited to hear that when this came out. That was probably the best thing on this whole CD for me, was the "Let Me Know." That was it. That was the greatest thing, even though, yes, they messed with it. But I have to ding it and give it a lower score because of they didn't have to mess with it. So
I have to agree with you there. It's much like the song "Let Me Go Rock and Roll." The studio version is really short and not that much to write home about, but the live version is extended and really, really rocks. It's kind of similar to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave it 5 for performance and 5 for translation, because I think this is an absolutely stunning song live, with or without modern vocals added. And we had "Let Me Know" circulating from King Biscuit back at the time, so we were able to compare it. We didn't have the pristine real transfer yet. I didn't do that for a decade or so.
Not everyone has King Biscuit, though.
Yeah, but not everyone had that. So in comparing it with that, I was always like, oh, this is great. This is nice and clear. Vocals.
Right.
I'll take it. So I love the song. And that outweighs my criticizing it or marking it down. I still just give it 2. Meh. Because again, it is adjusted and adulterated. So here's the vocal comparison for that one.
Let me be your Sunday driver. Let me be your Monday band. I'll take you anywhere you want, just as fast as I can. Let me be your Sunday driver. Let me be your Monday band. Take you anywhere you want, just as fast as I can.
So clearly, Gene's not getting on mic, his breath on the Kobo recording. So you can see why they would say, "Oh, let's replace that." Just do an afternoon in the studio. Here's the lyrics, Gene. Go and sing. So keep playing some more of this.
Doesn't matter what you wanna do. It doesn't matter where you wanna go. You just gotta decide, girl, and then you let me know. It doesn't matter what you wanna do. Doesn't matter where you wanna go. Just gotta decide, girl, and then you let me know. Oh, did you ever want nothing? So you're calling up your baby and she's stalling with the neighbors, and the night keeps getting longer. Oh, did you ever want nothing? So you're calling up your baby and she's stalling with the neighbors, and the night keeps getting longer.
All right, enough of that. If you want more, tune into the series that I mentioned. So again, you can see why they would re-record those, because at that time, why would they leave what they perceive to be a bad vocal on a song that they're throwing on an archive? And you might say, well, then why are they releasing that? Go pick something else. So I don't think there's a win. Daniel, any thoughts on those vocals? I had to play some Paul. Sorry.
I think it sounds good enough. I would have kept them. I like the live,
I didn't think they were bad.
strained, a little bit strained here and there, but that's how it's supposed to sound live. And with all the guitars and drums, you don't think about it too much. It just gives you that live feel that you want from a live record.
Yeah, Ken, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Daniel there. I don't think it's a bad vocal. I mean, it's like Daniel said, it's a live, normal live type vocal. That's what I want. I just want it again, authenticity again. That's it. So yeah, I think there's no reason to replace it. It was a waste of money and time to do that, in my opinion.
Yep. But I really got a kick out of those. We're getting to hear their harmonizing.
It is cool to hear it though, like that. Yeah.
I'm not
That's
David
good.
Frangione, who's got access to the real multi-track. So again, these are the good side of being able to use AI to do separations, but they are again not to be thought of as equivalents to the real multi-tracks. I'll continue to stress that. All right, let's move on to 11th place. Again, Room Service. It's kind of sad to see all of these vault tracks, bunching up at the bottom here, and that's 17.33 points. So it only just squeezes ahead of Let Me Know. Ken, your thoughts?
Same as the other ones. Again, dinged it, gave it the same score. I think this was the most blatant vocal that is like, wow, this is Paul Stanley from 1990s. It's like this is no way. I mean, it stood out very strongly to me that it was a new vocal on that one. That's kind of what blew the whole thing for me. I think the other ones, they did a better job on concealing that, but this one really, for me, it's just it's like, what's going on? So yeah, that's why I gave it the same score as these other couple that we've done before that are all those re-record or overdub stuff.
Daniel?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record, it's same for me. I think it's the voice is the problem. And why is it a problem? He still could sing so well. I think in the studio you can't produce the energy that you have live with all the audience, the sweat, the bombs, everything. You get an energy in your voice as well, but you can't do that in the studio where you're trying to hit the notes. You lose that, and it becomes so obvious when you blend the studio vocals with the live version of the song.
Yeah. Well, here's some of those vocal isolations for Room Service.
I'm feeling low, no place to go, and I'm thinking that I'm gonna scream because a hotel all alone is not a rock and roll star's dream. Feeling low, no place to go, and I'm thinking that I'm gonna scream. I'm
Oh yeah, that's because Davenport was only an instrumental recorded during rehearsals, so they had to record vocals for it.
That's true.
That's why
Right.
we didn't know that.
We didn't know that. No,
we didn't know that until this box came out, and we finally had that answer that they included the reel, which showed that they were doing rehearsals that afternoon, deliberately recording, and there's no vocal.
they should have left it or grabbed it.
That's why Frem's here, because that's the only version of the song that I'm aware of or could find in time for this. So we can only judge Paul's vocal on that by Paul's vocal on that, which to this day is frustrating.
Yeah, I would have left it off the record and put something else on.
You would have put an instrumental. I mean, I see David Donnelly.
I wouldn't have said
should have been left.
No. I'm not saying I would have put the instrumental. I would have not put Room Service, on there. Period. I would have had another song in its place.
Yeah. So it's interesting from that. Years ago we're judging just by the replaced vocals, and then we find out that there wasn't one. So Ken says, don't put a vocal on it. Daniel, put a vocal on it or not use it.
I wouldn't use it either. I would pick something else, because going for authenticity instead of this fake singing that they add, I never cared for it. Even though he sounds
Yeah.
awesome, it really doesn't play. You can't blend the two. It doesn't
Put-
mix well.
Put Black
Yeah.
Diamond on there instead.
Yeah, what the hell?
Put
That's
Deuce
missing.
on there instead. Deuce should have been there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Deuce as well. That should have
All
been the
right.
opening track.
I've got one more. I've got one more piece of multimedia for room service. When I was doing these separations, one thing that kept jumping out, and KissVids has actually absolutely nailed it, and it's Ace's solo. When I heard the separation on the "You Wanted the Best" one, I'm like, did he do something there? So let's play that. All right, so we've got the box set version now. Ace's solo. I highlighted a couple of, I want to call them flubs or missed notes or whatever. Let's go to the "You Wanted the Best" version. All right, so that's brutal. And I think KissVids certainly illustrates that much better than I could have. So, all right. So I gave it 4 for performance, translation, and again 2 for meh, because you don't dick with the originals. All right, in 10th place, "Take Me." Surprisingly, the most favored of the re-records. Ken.
Well, not favored for me because it's the same score. All of those records are the same score. So yeah, a three for live translation, band performance 3, and the taste again down from 3 to a 2.5. So it's the same score as all the other ones, and yeah, same story.
Daniel.
I always felt a bit sorry for "Take Me," the song, because it was up against so hard competition on the album. "Making Love" and "I Want You" always stole the spotlight, even though I might even prefer "Take Me" over those two. I think it's a brilliant rocker, one of the coolest riffs. I love Paul's vocals on it, even on this take. So I actually gave this one a pass compared to "Room Service 2 Time" and the rest of the re-recorded vocals. And I gave it a perfect score because I really love "Take Me." And I think, this was the most successful new vocals that were added. I kind of like it, or I like it a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, Ken and I are pretty similar on this. I mean, I give it a 4 for live translation and performance, and again 2 for overall taste. But let's compare vocals. We don't have the original source material from the LA Forum or wherever Alive 2 was actually recorded, so we can only compare with either the Houston soundboard, Fort Worth has one on it, or Rock and Roll Party in Tokyo, which is the fully Eddie Kramer touched and massaged one. So let's check out the vocals.
Put your hand in my pocket, grab onto my rocket. Feel so good to see you, baby, got to know, do you want to go? How you gonna make me feel? Said, whoa, baby, you make me feel, yeah. Put your hand in my pocket, grab onto my rocket. Feel so good to see you, baby, got to know, do you want to go? How you gonna make me feel? I said, oh, baby, you make me feel, yeah. Whoa, baby, You make me feel, yeah. So take me anywhere you want me, just break me. Anywhere you can, take me anywhere you want me now. Make me feel the man. Oh, baby. You make me feel, yeah. So take me anywhere you want me, just break me. Anywhere you can, take me anywhere you want me now. Let me be like a man.
All right. So you got Gene's falsetto backing vocals there. I can see Gene saying, let's fix that one too. Ken.
Yeah. Well, excuse me. I think that again, the original vocals is enough and it was good and fine. I don't know what to say. I like the vocals of the older ones because it's more, you can almost hear Paul's New York accent more still in having that in his vocal versus the newer ones where he kind of over the years lost that New York accent as time went by. And then I like the high falsetto. You see those old videos or of Gene singing the high falsetto background, and he's always so high and so prominent, you can hear it, but it's that's what makes the song live. It's kind of cool. So I like the original.
You said the word earlier, authenticity.
Yes.
Daniel.
Absolutely.
I already told you I love the song, so I gave it a perfect score, even though the vocals were doctored with. I still think he managed to, sound pretty awesome.
Yep. Fun song. To this day, I really enjoy this.
It's a
All
good
right.
song.
Yeah. All right, so the rest of the songs are previously released. All I did for all of these was went back to live Refocused and just punched in those scores because I'm not going to change my mind on that.
Yeah,
but in ninth place, Beth on 23 points. Ken?
Beth, yeah. That's the only one I dinged by one, other than everything else is like a perfect score for the rest of the songs for me. With 5 5s and 3, and all that, which is what Alive for me was like a perfect, when we did that, a perfect album, right? But Beth, the only thing I dinged it on is the live translation, because I would have rather had them perform it live without the tape thing. I know they did it. That's the only way they really did it, until unplugged or whatever and all this stuff. But I would have rather had still something live instead of the orchestration tape, that backed it. So I just dinged it for live translation from a 5 to a 4. Everything else is band performance 5 out of 5. My taste 3 out of 3. So that's it. It's almost perfect anyway.
Well, if Ken dinged it, Daniel hit Beth with a shovel and buried her in the back garden.
Uh-oh.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, but using these criteria, you kind of have to put it down a little bit, because live translation, it isn't live, only live vocals. So I gave it 3 out of 5. That's not bad. Band performance, hell, the band isn't performing anything. So I have to ding that as well. I still
the orchestra performed.
The tape sounded great as always, but 3 out of 5. And taste, well, Beth is far from my favorite ballad with Kiss, even though you have to add that Pierce sings it beautifully, but it's not enough. So I gave it 2 there, and that ends up with a total of 12 points, the worst score on the whole record for me.
Ooh,
it's not a live. Wow. It's not a live song.
I'm not judging this so much by how live Beth is, because I understand the reasons why. And Beth had to be on this compilation because they were going on the road for the reunion tour. So I look forward to when we do the Alive 2 Refocus. That's going to be a really fascinating episode. All right, moving on quickly since I've belabored everything else. In 8th place, Firehouse, 25.33 points. Daniel, Firehouse.
Well, the live version of Firehouse is the way it was always supposed to sound. All the bells, all the whistles, the fire alarm going on off at the end, the fire breathing. You really get the live feel. And actually, Firehouse was the first song that stood out to me when I first heard Alive as a kid. I thought it sounded great, and it felt like you were there, with all the screaming alarms, and
Mhm.
I love this version. So I had to give it a full score, 30 points.
I didn't. What did I say when we did the live refocus? I said probably my least favorite. It's still good, but always a meh for me. I gave it 16 points. Ken.
Oh,
Yeah, I gave it a perfect score. The rest, like I said, the rest of the stuff's gonna be perfect score for me. Firehouse is a great song. It's better live, like most of their early stuff was better live. So, really perfect performance for me.
Yep. All right. Moving on into 7th place, the bonus track, New York Groove from Sydney, Australia, representing Eric Carr. I already mentioned that I was really happy that that song was included as a bonus track, at least, because it represented someone who properly as a tribute versus Car Jam, who is no longer with them. And I gave it a 5 for live translation, 4 for performance, because I think a lot of the Australian shows were a little bit sloppy, just by nature of it. I've got some multimedia for this one. And just let's compare Ace's vocal from the bonus track with his vocal from the Sydney FM Inner Sanctum. So slightly treated. Let's find out.
Since I was here on the street, I was passing on top of wood. To the left, to the right, building sour to the sky, and it's out of sight in the dead of night. Here I am again in the city with a fistful of dollars. You better believe I'm back in the New York groove. I'm back in the New York groove. I'm back in the New York groove. In the New York groove. In the New York groove. 10 years since I was here. On the street, I was passing my time away. To the left and to the right, buildings towering to the sky, and it's out of sight in the dead of night. Here I am again in the city with a fistful of dollars. You better believe I'm back in the New York groove. I'm back in the New York groove. I'm back in the New York groove. In the New York groove. In the New York groove.
All right. So they didn't do anything with his vocal. It's the same, different in quality of separation. It's just what happens. New York Groove, Daniel.
well, I love the way they included it on the record as a bonus track. If you want to compare more tracks and spend more time on listening to old Kiss songs, you should compare the drumming from Sydney with, for example, Largo on the Dynasty tour. I think that's the biggest change in the way the song sounded. Eric Carr invented some new fills I never heard on New York Groove that really makes the song pop, So go ahead and spend some more time listening to old Kiss music. I want to see the drum tracks from Dynasty tour and the Australian Unmasked tour. There's a big difference, and I think it kind of updated the song and made it rock a bit more. So I like it. I gave it a full score, actually.
Ken.
Yeah, I gave it a perfect score too. I was happy to get this, at least something, New York Groove was something different. We didn't have, live or anything. And I don't know if I even seen the Sydney thing by that time. Yeah, I think I did. I think I had a bootleg of the Sydney concert and that sort of stuff. So, but it was good to get it on, a live version out there. And yeah, it's perfectly fine, good. It's good to hear it live. So perfect score.
Well, both of you gave it perfect scores, 30 points.
And
I
you,
did not. I gave it 18.
Oh,
And
what? Wow.
I am not a fan of this recording, or at least what they did to it. And KissVids mentioned it earlier. How the material was treated was way too hot. Live translation, I give it 5. It works great live. New York Groove is a fantastic song live. The performance, I gave it 4. It's great. There's a couple of things, quirks. Nothing that organic rock and roll would make illegal. But this is a shit sandwich in terms of this. All right. Before I play the hybrid FM version, that freaking feedback ruins this song for me. And it's the same. It's just so hot, and it's really boosted in the treatment that they did for EQ on this CD, or however they treated the material before it was EQ'd. I love the song. I love that it's there. Everything else is positive, but that is freaking brutal. It's still present on the hybrid FM version.
Many years since I was here on the street, I was passing my time away. To the left and to the right, buildings towering to the sky, and it's out of sight in the dead of night. Here I am again in the city with a fistful of dollars. You better believe I'm back.
All right, so that's my evidence and my reasoning. I think the mix sounds better on the hybrid FM than what they did in 1996. So it's 18 points with a technicality, not because I hate Ace Frehley and Eric Carr. And again, I'm really happy that we've got other versions. Rome Loves Dan's in there. Yeah, hear ye. We hear and we obey. Moving on into 6th place, Rock Bottom, 27.45 points. Ken?
Yes, Rock Bottom. Also, always a great. I gave it a perfect score again on it. So the rest is a perfect score. So all the rest of mine are perfect. They're all fantastic live performances that we want to hear.
All right, Daniel.
Yeah, same for me. The rest of the songs have a perfect score on my sheet as well. So, but this one, I think if I remember correctly, they shortened the intro. I never liked the intro part to Rock Bottom, way too long and didn't really fit the song. I like the rocking part, more of that and less of the acoustic guitar stuff. Never liked it, even though it's beautiful. Never worked. It never gelled with the rocker that Rock Bottom is supposed to be. Make it even a shorter song and skip the acoustic part, and then it's even better. So they shortened it, so it became even better than on the album.
All right, and my votes are all the same as previously for Alive. So 5th place is Parasite. You guys are perfect. Mine's just slightly less than perfect. It's still sludgy, but it does well. In 4th place, 29.9 points, I Stole Your Love. So something off Alive too, which we've not talked about previously. Daniel?
I Stole Your Love. I remember really getting into the song when I watched the bootleg it was actually the feed of the Cobo Hall, I think, or whatever the arena was called, from Detroit in 1990. I got a hold of that show, or actually 2 shows from that tour from Detroit, and it blew me away. I really didn't get into it previously. That was the first time that really got me. And then I went back and listened to a live too, and of course it was even better there. But I had missed it somehow. So, but what an opener! I always loved the way it sounded when they opened a show with it during the early '90s. Actually, when they toured the UK in '92, they opened with "I Stole Your Love," and I think, if I remember correctly, and on that. Even on the short club tour they did in '92, I think they included "I Stole Your Love," but then it kind of disappeared from the live set for a few years. But an awesome song. What the hell? It's one of their best openers of all time. Maybe only beaten by Deuce. Other than that, I think it's the perfect opener. It sounds great on live too.
Yeah, they really didn't mess with those archival Alive and Alive 2 tracks much, other than a little bit of editing. I Stole Your Love is one of the nearly perfect songs for me live for Kiss, for everything that Daniel said. Ken?
Yeah, I Stole Your Love is a perfect, like I said, it was a great opener, like in concert, that sort of thing. But yeah, they put it in a weird place on here, kind of. I almost should have put that at the beginning of instead of room service at the beginning of this whole thing, right? But yeah, it's a perfect song for me. It's great. I love it. It's too bad it's kind of overlooked in a way live. So
yeah, last song on side A for those of the cassette generation. Tie for the next two is Calling Dr. Love and Shout It Out Loud, both from Alive 2. Ken? Talk about
both are a couple of my favorite Kiss songs live, really. Calling Dr. Love was the one I played over and over again when I first got Alive 2. That was kind of one of my favorite songs, and then I got to liking a bunch of the other songs later on, of course, as the more I heard them. But Calling Dr. Love I knew from being on the radio at the time, so was it, and I was just playing Christian 16 a lot, the Gene stuff. But then I got to liking the rest of the stuff. So that's, perfect, great, good solo, all that stuff. Perfect song. The other one, Shout Out Loud, which is, I think, it's what like their greatest, to me, their greatest anthem. And this live version is perfect for me from Alive 2. I really love that one too.
Agree with all those sentiments. Daniel?
I also agree. I think what I really like on the live version is the Cookie Monster Gene coming alive once again. I love that voice. Yeah. And also the tempo is way faster than on the record, and it really suits the song. And also maybe Ace's best dinosaur band of his whole career is in that solo. I love that dinosaur band he does. So Dr. Love, full score. Shout Out Loud, really made to be played live. What I like in this version is the bass is really up front in this version. You really can hear Gene playing around on his bass there, and I love that. So what a great version of Shout It Out Loud.
Yep, I have nothing to add that you guys haven't covered. And it was a three-way tie for the top. Rock and Roll All Night is number one, along with Shout It Out Loud and Calling Dr. Love. Clearly we're Kiss to be doing market research using this podcast. They would be saying, well, Kiss fans clearly hate archival tracks. So if
toyed with archival tracks. Toyed with
if we just release, re-release Love Gun, Ken will be happy, and or Live 2, the fans will be happy.
Live 2 next year. Yeah.
But again, it's down to how all of that material is treated and how it is respected, or how we perceive it to be respected. Again, this is their history, but we're invested in it emotionally. So I think when they release products, they have to be very careful about what they do with that material. And as Ken has said, retaining its authenticity and legitimacy is a very important part of it. Going back to 1996 again, I'm still happy that this exists. And I'm happy, that we've had an excuse to dig it out for a 30th anniversary, because I don't think I'm going to be digging this out again, unless I'm doing an A/B comparison in some way. So again, it's a fun exercise to go and revisit it. Hearing some of the multimedia and talking about it today, Daniel, has your opinion on this one changed at all? Are you going to be hanging up on us and going to go play that album now?
No, I don't know. But did I hear you correctly that you said you did a 5-part series
Yeah.
about comparing the tracks? Is that
Yeah,
coming tomorrow?
so that's launching at midnight, I think, tonight. When I was preparing multimedia for this episode, obviously I've only played a very little bit, and we've still gone over an hour. There was just way too much. No one wants to sit through that amount in one go. So I broke it up into 5 episodes, one for each of the vault recordings, where I could just dig into the stems for drums, guitars, in some cases bass and vocals. So you've heard some of the stuff today, but there's a few different ones between the two. And it's 90 minutes worth of my thoughts, and at least plenty of room for people to chime in with their opinions on what they're hearing from those isolations, because I'm not the source of truth. I'm just giving an opinion and speaking through the vocabulary that I have. So next 5 days, one a day. Take your vitamins and listen to You Wanted the Best mini episode. Again, it's fun to do. And as soon as mentioned, it'll be fun to do that with a live now that we have a lot of the recordings. Maybe someone else would beat me to it, so I don't have to do all that work. Ken, your thoughts on You Wanted the Best to wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, it was a great kind of cool thing to come out. Yes, I wanted new music, but it was something. Again, what I said, the best part of it was getting a somewhat live version, I guess, of Let Me Know. That was the big deal for me. And I think, again, at the time when I first had it, I was like really excited about it, but I didn't play it much because I had a live and a live 2. And just the Let Me Know, I would play it over and over by itself because I liked the extended version. And then I got tired of that, listening to it over and over, and then I put it away. So that's where it stands.
I don't know what it did on the charts, but no one really cared about it over here. When they did an even lazier release the following year, people went crazy. People went crazy with that Greatest Kiss album over here. But I guess the tour had started to generate interest, and that was actually a great seller over here in Europe and in Scandinavia. People got that Greatest Kiss album left and right, but this one no one got. So they somehow didn't manage to create a buzz about this album, even though I liked the idea, but it really didn't work.
Yep, I can't find the chart action right now.
No.
But there we are.
I have the chart. I do have the chart action. I'll just before you end it. Looks like it had number 17 on the US Billboard 200. Surprisingly, UK. I'm just trying to see where Swedish 25.
Greatest Kiss must have been top 5 in Sweden, I'm sure.
So yeah, I'm sure it did. Sure it was. But it was certified gold here. So yeah, I mean, it did okay. I think it probably came on the chart and disappeared the following week, which is the way a lot of Kiss albums did back then.
Yeah, it sold 99,000 copies its first week. That's all I know off the top of my head. And then it dropped like a rock. If I'm going to hazard a guess, I'm going to say 4 weeks on the chart, but I'll have to fact check, and I really don't care enough. All right, so there we are. Looking back over 30 years at You Wanted the Best, you got the best. What do you think of this compilation? How has it aged for you? How did you receive it back in the day? And as Jack D, Kiss and authenticity. Yeah, again, it's Kiss. Kiss is. I said at the top of the show, talking about Gene, Demon's gonna demon. Kiss is gonna kiss. Kiss has never been so concerned with legacy, legitimacy, or any of those sorts of things. They are interested in one thing, and it goes ka-ching. It really. It's probably ludicrous of us to even use that word on a Kiss podcast. So from henceforth, authenticity will be banned from a vocabulary. Absolutely not. But what do you think? What do you think of this album today? Chime in the comments wherever you've listened to it. But for now, for Daniel, Ken, and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the message board and discuss the topics we've broadcast today. Don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you've listened to this show, and a like would very much be appreciated. We hope you'll join us again, but until then, remember, life's a radio. Turn it up to 10.